Good morning, everyone. Should we give people like another 30 seconds to kind of pile in?
Yes.
Is that good? How is
That's
everyone
good,
feeling today? I think it's an exciting time. I've been reading the chat. People are anxious. People are excited. What a great privilege. Again, my name is Marcel Santos Lang. I'm a USA seller and an avid fan of the teachings and learnings that Cheryl, Lace, and Chris shares generously to the community here. And thank you for the opportunity to help host and traffic all the exciting questions that people are asking. Today, we are having this panel session, and Cheryl has invited a few of the 6- and 7-figure sellers. And these people, we read about them, we hear about them, and we are so inspired by them. In our panelists today are Vicky and Tony. Vicky and Tony are business partners. Tony is based in Vietnam. Vicky is based in Manitoba. They have been Cheryl's coaching students about 3 years ago, and they have made $1 million in sales during their first year doing arbitrage. And now they're almost hitting 2 million in sales. They're using wholesale, bundles, and some private label as some of their strategies. We also have with us David, who's a full-time employee. He's a part-time Amazon seller, but I know I've heard his interview. He's actually also like full-time Amazon seller on top of his full-time job, which is very impressive. He's doing online arbitrage, and he sold about $550,000, $500,000 in sales every year. Lace and Chris, Louis are 6-figure sellers. They have been students of Cheryl for about 3 years as well. They just made $100,000 on sales a month last Q4, and that was phenomenal. They have been helping Cheryl facilitate and be part of this community, teaching us a lot of their strategies. Chris is still working as a full-time corporate employee, and Lace is now just recently resigned from her full-time job and dove in right away to becoming now a full-time Amazon seller. And they have a growing family, and how they can do this while a growing family is pretty amazing. And of course, Cheryl, our dear teacher, our inspirer, our so generous person to just open up this opportunity for us. She's a full-time Amazon seller with her husband in line. They are together automating the business. And now they are getting ready to move to the Philippines in a few weeks. And what an amazing way that they can do this while building a business. All right, so much so for that. We have quite a few questions that came prior to this interview today. Let me go through them one at a time. But first, hello to everyone who's here. This is going to be recorded. So if you missed this session this morning in the replay, you can join. And if you have any questions to that, I'm sure our coaches are happy to answer at that point. All righty, let's see what questions we have for today.
Before we start, also, I want to remind everybody. So for those who want to ask questions live, you can type it in the chat via Zoom or via the Facebook Live.
Oops, sorry, I have to mute that. Okay, thank you for that reminder, Cheryl. Yeah. And now I could not find the question on the chat. Hold your line. Because first, maybe everyone can just say something about where did you start before in your Amazon business that prompted you to do it? You have, I'm assuming everyone had a full-time job, or everyone was doing something else before. What was the impetus for you to want to do this business? Start with Cheryl.
Okay, so for me, I used to live in China when I was there, and we were planning to go back here in Canada. I start digging into like, what can I do online, because I have babies at home, right? So that's when I start buying so much things in China and selling it, like bundling them and turning it into sort of like private label. And yes, I sold almost everything, but I end up spending it all into the ads. So that's how I end up finding Amazon. But during that time, I don't have anything that I can find in Canada. So I went into a US group, and that's how I learned. And that's where I met Lace and Tony, because they became my students that time.
All right, thank you. Chris and Lace?
Yeah, for us, I think we've always been interested in business. Like we both went to business school. And I think, we were working for quite some time and then we were on YouTube, I think. And of course, everyone comes across a YouTube video of Amazon FBA, right? So of course, that's kind of how we started. Like we saw a video. I don't know if anyone watches like Tatiana James and like Stephen James, but I think it was one of their videos where they were talking about like, hey, student makes $40,000 per month. And I was like, what? Like, how does this even happen? So clicked on that video and of course we watched it and we went down the Amazon path.
That's fantastic. David?
Hey, yeah. So for me, it's a little bit similar, a little bit different. So I've always been interested in business. I ran like a painting business pretty well when I was like 18 and I did really well. And then since then I did like other things, like I had my own tutoring company and whatnot. So I've always been into business, but Amazon was pretty random for me personally. It was just when I got back home, my parents just had a bunch of books lying around the house and like way too many. And I was just figuring out a way to get rid of them. And I came across Amazon just randomly. And my only intention was just to sell those books on Amazon. But then I realized that you could actually make a lot of money from it. So then I started thrifting, and then I realized after buying textbooks from students at like McGill and Concordia that you can flip books for a lot of money. And then I'm like, okay, how do you do this at scale? So I did RA, OA, etc. So kind of by accident, but worked out pretty well.
By accident, yeah, blessing. And then Tony?
Yeah.
And Vicky, I think you're business partners. So I guess it's a consensus for you both to decide how did you both kind of stumble upon them. One or both of you can answer the question.
Vicky, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, we're classmates in another online course like dropshipping, and Tony, he introduced me to the course called OARA, and but we were not successful with the course ourselves, and we were seeking for the assistant from the coaching program, and we found Sherry, and
That's fantastic.
we're so happy with her until now. Up to now.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And she's so very proud of you. Okay, first question from the Facebook group that was submitted a while back. What are the top 3 things that you did that had the most impact on your success? What are the top 3 things that you did that had the most impact on your Amazon success? Let's start again with Sharon.
So for me, one is, of course, having enough capital. Like when I start to like invest on like finding capital for the business, that's the time that I grew. And another one is when I start to hire my first employee, that's when I realized, oh my goodness, if I hire one, I pay him this much, I make double or triple the amount. That's so good. So that's when I start to see really big progress on my business. And the last one was like consistent shipping. So as you can see, like the planner that I gave you, that's what I've been following since the beginning. Always have consistent amount of numbers to be shipped every single week. That's what I did. And also as much as I can, multiple shipments per week. That helps me like consistently grow no matter what up to now.
Thank you. Capital, outsourcing, consistent shipping. Chris and Lace, what are your top 3 success
I think
factors?
for us, definitely the one-on-one coaching with Cheryl, hands down, got us to where we are today. From there, between Lacey and I, we working on the business every day. We got the 2 kids, but we find ways, whether or not we wake up early or late at night, that we're consistently always working on our business, and with that also shipping consistently as well. Whenever we do have free time, we spend a lot of time learning, trying to find ways to continue to grow our Amazon business, and really those are I would say our top 3 things to continue to grow the business and most impacted our Amazon business overall.
That's fantastic. Consistency and consistent shipping.
Mm-hmm.
David?
Yeah, so for me, number 1 was being decisive and taking action. So I don't overthink. Once I know I have something to do, I do it right away. I don't wait till tomorrow. The more decisions you make in a day, the more you're going to succeed. So if you make 50 decisions in a day, even if like 5 are wrong, still better than somebody who takes 5 weeks to make one decision. So that's probably number one for me. Number two, I agree with being consistent and sourcing every day. That was a huge one. I think if you make it a habit to source every single day, even if you find nothing for the first 2, 3, 4 days, by week, 2, 3, you're going to be way better than you were in day one. So just being consistent is very important. And number three for me would be implementing processes. So like I'm pretty organized across the board. So I have a process for like accounting, COGS, like color coding stuff, making sure that like things are being received from my supplier. And then if I need to follow up, like I have notes everywhere. So like I'm pretty good with following up because unlike like a job like where you have a supervisor or whatever, this one like you're on your own, so you got to really be like proactive with that. So sometimes I got to follow up with the government. Like example, they still haven't paid me my GST HST from last year, and that's like $50,000. So like I mean I got to follow up with them, and like you really got to be on it because they're just like doing their own thing. So yep.
Excellent. Being decisive, being consistent, being on top of things. That sounds great idea, great suggestions and advice. Tony, how about you?
We face many challenges from 0 to now. It's like 150K per month, and I think three most important things is can clarify by phase. And before to get to like 50K per month, you need to focus on sourcing skill. So we learn every course, everything we can to upgrade our sourcing skill, and up to the situation when you have more to buy than your capital. So you have time to select what is the best ASIN to sell, and from 50K to about 100K per month. You need to focus on outsourcing tasks, because this time your portfolio of ASIN will be grow quite fast and also very big. You have to manage the ASINs and when to restock, and also which supplier. Many issue with the supplier, like our stock and shipping, and a lot of things happens. So it will create a lot of tasks every day. So you need to outsourcing your mainly tasks, like sourcing tasks, purchasing tasks, also the admin tasks, working with rep centers. Those three tasks you need to outsource as soon as possible. From 100K per month upwards, I think one of the most important things is to build the system and the SOP, the standard of procedure. So we have three teams in our business: sourcing team, the purchasing team, and the admin team. So they need to work together fluently. So you need to build a very specific standard of procedure. So you do not depend on the staff. You depend on the procedure. Staff can lead, but procedures stay still. So that is three important things for me.
Yeah, sounds like for each level or stage of your business, you need different things, but you need to have procedures when you are on the high end. But if you're just starting, you focus on your sourcing skills and be good at it. When you go higher to 100K, you begin to think about outsourcing. Vicky, did you want to add anything to that? The other three important factors for your success for your partnership?
Actually, they told everything I'm gonna say, but I just want to add more, like to help us like keep improving. I think like we do a lot of like joining group and like widen our networking with other sellers to learn from them as well, because everybody have different idea and they knows what we don't know, and that's why we learn a lot. Like sometimes like a new model or a new technique or a new tip trick, something like that, and it works a lot. Very helpful for us.
So networking, growing in the community, learning from others, because each person has different strategy and you can learn from each other.
Yeah, that's very good. especially when we want to switch our like model, like business model business, like from OA to bundle or bundle to private label.
Okay, especially when you're trying to switch different business strategy.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you very much for that answer. Next question. This is to everyone again, from Monique Hall. So the prior question was from Darren Brittle. Now from Monique, what did you do to overcome cash flow issues and how did you scale? Please be specific. What was the number one contributor for your indie So you already answered that. What was the number one contributor to your success? We'll answer that next, but we'll first answer the first question. What did you do to overcome cash flow issues and how did you scale? If you can be specific and brief. Let's start with David.
Yeah, so for me, it was keeping three things. So first, I started by keeping a full-time job. That helped a lot because I don't need to work Amazon full-time right away to get the results I need. The second thing was I started with thrifting books and DVDs. I know it's not the most glamorous thing, but think about it. Like when you're first starting to and you're not as experienced, when you buy a DVD and a book for $3 and $4 and you can sell it for like $30, $40, your money goes really far. It's hard to start OA with like 2,000 and expect to make 50K a month. You know what I mean? So I think you have to kind of look at the ROIs and like the profit margins on that. And I would say the third thing that helped me a lot was getting an Amex Platinum card. That was a big game changer for me because that thing, my up till last year, I was operating with a BMO World Elite MasterCard that had a 5,000 limit. And I don't know how the hell I scaled that high with a 5,000 limit because I was just paying it off every day. But with a business platinum, it gives you 55 days interest free and you can get the limit to like in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you can effectively like find high ticket items or whatever items, sell them fast enough and get the money back in time to pay off your card.
Those are such good advice. All right, how about you, Chris and Lace? Cash flow suggestions for managing.
Yeah, same as David. Like we were very lucky not to have a cash flow problem because we had started the business with some savings that we were able to use. And then anything that we made through the business, we just reinvested those profits right back into inventory. So that's kind of how we grew. In terms of scaling, taking action every day is so important, even if you're sourcing or just doing a little bit of bookkeeping, but just building that consistent habit every day of working on your business. And then for us, we were lucky that we were able to team up with Cheryl. So we had her as a coach. So that was instrumental in building our business. She also held us accountable. So whether you're able to get a coach or at least find an accountability partner, that is going to be key. But yeah, and then the other thing is just focus on selling what you can sell. I think at the beginning, a lot of people get hung up on Ungating and opening up other categories, but like Chris and I didn't apply for Ungating until we were 3 months into the business. And by 3 months into the business, we had already scaled to 40, 50K, something like that. So it just goes to show you that you don't need all of the categories open to you in order to build a good starter business. So that's my opinion in terms of contributors to success. We were actually talking about this over dinner the other day, but just having a supportive partner, whether it's your business partner, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever it is, just having a cheerleader, somebody in your corner that is rooting you on while you're working on this business, because it's very isolating. Not everyone is going to get it. Friends and family won't always get it at the beginning. So just having at least one person that's cheering for you, I think is really key to keep you motivated and keep going.
Thank you for that. How about you, Vicky?
Sorry. We start like in the first year, we reinvest all the profit into our business. Actually, we start with very small amount. I think just a few thousand each of us, and mostly I use my credit card. And so the first year there's no problem at all because we keep reinvesting in our business. So the second years, when I think the profits is enough for us to like we withdraw some profit as to spend like for daily expense. So credit card still like a safer, and like for this year, I think line of credit will be a safer because we use a lot of our like fund for investing, like for inventory. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think credit card and live credit, because live credit I think is good because you just pay for is always available for you when you apply for the bank, and they just charge you the interest whenever you withdraw the money, and when you got your capital, just pay it back and you won't be charged anymore.
Any
And
interest?
I think
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that. Did you want to add anything to that, Tony, or that's basically it?
Yes, the finance thing is all Vicky
I take care of it. So
Someone is in
So,
charge of
just
the
one-
financial aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vicky
So
is the
one,
boss.
one more thing. Yeah.
she's
One
a
more thing I
headache
need-
free guy. So
One more thing I want to add is I agree with David that for the newcomers or someone like just doing Amazon, please focus on your sourcing skill and your ROI, because that is an important thing. Don't get easy with that. Improve your skill and only come with the good ROI item. So your capital will be less, but you less burden on your capital. Yeah.
Okay. Focus on the ROI when you're starting. Don't be shy doing down and dirty things. It's okay. You just have to, and then reinvest. I think almost everyone for the first year just reinvest everything. Cheryl, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, for me, I think that's where they learn, right? So I always recommend, like, if you want to scale up, of course, you need money, right? You cannot be like saying, oh, I want to make 50,000 every month, and then you only have $2,000, right? So that's not possible. So with me, I always tell them, use other people's money, and that's credit card, for as long as you know how to manage them, right? So I teach Tony and Vicky that, and they, like, you know, one of the good things about credit card is not for you to get in debt, but use them in order for you to make profit without using your own personal money, right? And at the same time, you get a lot of rewards points and stuff like that that you can really enjoy, like, right, David? So David is enjoying a lot of those with his platinum
Travel
card.
points.
So
Yeah.
so that's what I did also. Like, I don't have money. Like, when I started, we don't have much money, and for us, we need to even dip on it right instantly, because I need to stay home. I cannot work anymore for somebody else. So that's what we did. We just opened a lot of credit cards. I studied on how to not get affected by the credit score and stuff like that, when to apply. That's why I can teach you so much about it, because that's what I did in the beginning. So basically, in order for me not to worry about cash flow, I use other people's money by using credit cards as well.
Okay, using leveraging a credit card and focusing on ROI, those are the two things. Okay, we have another question from Chai Med. She has like a very loaded question, so I'm going to ask this one at a time. Based on the interviews that Chai Med has heard, it seems that everyone is doing wholesale. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, when in your journey did you start considering doing wholesale? Who wants to answer first? Cheryl?
Yeah, so for me, it's not true at all. Like, right now, even because I moved to completely automation, I don't do anything anymore. A lot of my stuff, I think 70% is actually, like, maybe even 80% right now is OA, right? So it's online arbitrage. Everything now for me is online arbitrage. That's why for example, I cannot, before I used to source in Canadian Tire a lot. Right now, no, because with Canadian Tire, you need to ship it with a fee, right? So I cannot do that, because I also don't want to drop off anymore, because as you know, we're moving out of the country. We want to make sure that everything is automated. So having said that, before I used to have a big chunk also of wholesale, but what happened to that wholesale, one order would be $10,000 or $15,000. That tanked down because there's a big whale seller who decided to take over all the listings, and it has varieties, and then tanked down the price from $34 to like $19.99, and I cannot make money anymore. So it's not true at all. Like, for me, I still make really good money with online arbitrage and not that much wholesale. How about you, Lace and Chris?
Lace, yeah, Chris and Lace, you're doing wholesale. If yes, it's what percentage?
Yeah. For us, I would say we didn't dive into wholesale until about 9 to 12 months in. We really just stuck with, our current, replens, items, right? And then whatever that consistently continued to sell and sell and sell over again within that 9 to 12 months period is when we then started to look into finding, wholesale suppliers where we can buy more in volume. And today with wholesale, I would say it's about, maybe 5 to 10% of our business. Most of it is still, like Cheryl mentioned, OA, RA, which is still really the bulk of the business.
Excellent. So about 5 to 10%. David, do you do any wholesale at all?
Funny enough, I just joined a wholesale kind of like thing yesterday. So I can let you know in about 6 months. But after for the last 5 years, I haven't really done wholesale other than like I would say like the wholesale I've done is like, you're buying from a toy distributor to ungate some stuff and you're trying that. I don't know if I would really consider that wholesale or not, but I'm just getting into it now. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think I would do it as a beginner either. I think the margins are probably going to be less and it's a lot more capital exhausting, but you get kind of like the ability to sell like the same product and build a long-term relationship and maybe like improve listings on Amazon and whatnot. It's a new skill set I want to get into, like improving listings, working with a brand, maybe getting exclusive deals. That's like my next step that I want to try. But I don't think if I was a beginner and I would even want to even try doing that. So I have friends who do like 7 figures plus a year just doing OA. So I don't think you have to do necessarily wholesale.
Okay, that's true. Okay. Tony, you want to answer that? Are you doing wholesale if at all?
Oh, there a lot.
Half of our business is wholesale. But to me, the wholesale is a very vague definition. So there's 2 things. Only if you work directly with brand, I consider it a wholesale. Or if you just open an account with a distributor or wholesaler, it's just like OA. So depends on how you define it. But to me, only working with directly with brand is a wholesale.
Okay.
So
it's your definition of what wholesale is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's suitable for a newbie, and you can do other wholesale just like OA, like open account and look at the catalog and to see if you can source it at a very good price. But I'm sure that is not the best price. If you can go further step and contact brand and see if you can buy it with a better price. Yeah.
Okay. Chimed has another question. I guess this one you can just do your reaction and do a thumbs up if the answer is yes. Do you buy every day? Do your reaction thumbs up. Yeah. Do you buy every day? Every day. David? No, not every day for David.
Oh, now no, for me actually. I only buy now once a week also.
Once a week. That's awesome. So when you get to a certain stage, because you have so much inventory, you don't have to, but 3 of you do. Okay. From Justin Medina, do you sell in the US marketplace? And if so, what percentage of your business of Canada versus US? I think I know.
Marshall,
yes.
Sorry to just get, but let Vicky answer for the wholesale, because I think they're the one who would know more about wholesale, because now they converted a lot of their business into wholesale. I think we should get more information from them, because it could give us, even us, insights on what are they doing about the wholesale.
Thank you. Yes, Vicky, go
Sorry.
ahead and tell us about the wholesale.
Actually, to my advice to the newbie is do not neglect retail store like OARA in your first year, because you can raise your brand awareness. You know about you have more knowledge about the brand you're gonna sell in Amazon. So it's very important. Yeah, you can judge that how big is your brand. The brand is sell in local store, and because they will start with a small amount of investment. So OARA is I think is very suitable to the newbie. And we just switch to wholesale mostly in the second year and the 3rd year, and we keep doing that until now, because we try to automation and like the process. We try to automate our business, and the most important thing is I'm so lazy to pack. That's pack and wrap everything. So for us right now, we do mostly, I think nearly 100 no, 90% of wholesale.
So you're doing
But we
9%
still
at this stage,
yeah.
but not until
But
2 to 3
yeah,
years
yeah.
after when you did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But we never like neglect the OA source. Yeah, we still
Sourcing using OA.
we still buy from them. Yeah,
Okay.
because
All right.
it give us a good ROI. Yeah.
It gives you ideas on what to have an
Yeah, yeah,
wholesale
yeah.
for.
As
Yes.
long as they let us buy with the big quantity, because
Okay.
some OA source they limit your quantity, so you cannot buy like in bulk, something like that.
Yes.
So
Okay,
Vicky,
yeah.
I have a follow-up question. Sorry, I'm just curious
Yeah,
because
that's fine. That's fine.
so with you say do you still do the sort of like our parameters where you still test 3 and stuff like that in order for you to decide to buy in bulk? Do you still like do testing a lot even if you're doing wholesale? I'm just curious on if you change the process. You know how we have process in the arbitrage.
Yeah.
So do you
Just-
still do that processes, or do you already just buy like a lot instantly? So how does it work with wholesale with you?
Actually, it depends on the requirement of the wholesaler. Some ask us to buy like one ASIN. They ask for at least 100 units, and according to our like experience, like for a few years, some ASIN we decided to buy in bulk, like at least 100 units, and because even the listing can be like removed from Amazon, we can create new listing or create bundles, because we keep learning the new models to show the worst case. Yeah, so but actually we still remember the lesson from you. When we want to test new product, like we just want to test with 10 units and then double and keep doubling.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah. So it depends on
it depends on the supplier,
yeah,
I guess.
requirement.
Yes, Tony?
On the risk management part, we always expand our ASIN portfolio first. It means that when you work with the wholesale supplier, whatever the first order you can have, I always take the minimum. Like if you can buy 10 units, I buy 10. So I always test the ASIN. I only go deep into an ASIN when I have enough ASIN in the portfolio. So we will decide which ASIN have like a good status, is stable for a long time, and our competitor is also very good competitor. They don't change the price, so we decide to go deeper. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for
Yeah,
answering
thanks
my
for that.
question.
Yeah, thanks for that. All right. To those who are selling in the US marketplace, what percentage of your business is Canada versus US? David?
It changed over time. It used to be 100% Canada, then it used to be 95% USA. Now it's 50-50, but just imports and exports, but not within the same country.
Okay, moving from one city to one country to the next.
Exactly.
How about you, Vicky, on your end? Do you sell Canada and US? And so what's the percentage?
I can say 90 and 10%, and we try to change it. Like I want to the US market will be occupy more percentage next year. Yeah, we have planned for that, and Q4 we hope everything will be okay, because US market has a lot of room to grow for me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're saying 90% Canada and 10% US,
Yeah,
but you
90,
hope to
10.
switch that.
Actually,
Wow.
actually, both market has a lot of still have a lot of room for us to grow, but we want to focus a little bit more on US this Q4. Yeah.
This coming Q4. Yes.
Wow, so the 1.8 million sales a year is more on Canada. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
to know.
Mostly in 90 10 90
That's
and
awesome.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. How about Chris, Elise? Do you also do?
Yeah, for us, I would say on the US side is 5% of our sales, and then 95% is
95%
majority
Canada.
on the Canadian side. And we agree with Vicky, we are looking to also come, next year to, continue to grow more on the US side, but currently up, 5%
That's
of our
what you
sales
got.
in the US.
And how about you, Cheryl, on your end?
So yeah, so for me, like David, it depends on season. Like sometimes it's more here, more there. But right now, because I'm transitioning and I don't have time, to be honest, to source anything as of the moment because of the big move that we're doing. So I think around like 80% right now goes to the US and 20% in Canada, because my US is automated since the beginning. So that's the easiest way for me. I'm just doing replens basically. And with that, I have a help of the VA. So unfortunately, my VA, they're having, I'm saying to Lace, mental block on how to research in Canada. So I don't get help from them for my Canada. So I need to do all the research on my own. And I need to fill out new ones again, new batch because of that. Because I moved from OA. Before I used to do a lot of RA, and then we turned into automation, then it needs to be all OA. So a lot, like there's a lot of my product that went to tanking because like it cannot make money with the charges from the prep center, right? So because of that, I just decided to double up into US more, so that even if I work only 1 hour, one night in a week, like that's what I'm doing now. I'm telling Chris and Lace, encouraging them for US, because now I only work like 9:30 until maybe 12:30 in midnight every Sunday to buy everything. Then I'm done with Amazon for the week, and then just
Wow.
ask VAs to do the remaining from the prep center and prior notice and other things. And then for Canada, that I need to do that for myself.
Wow, wow, that's our aspiration, to get to that point. Once a week, you just source and then let every team member then do the rest of the work. That's awesome. All right, this is for David, directed to David, from Gina Tashu. Did you start out doing RA and OA in both Canada and the US? And at what point did you switch over to 100% OA?
Okay, so I started doing 2019, I just did books. 2020, I decided to take Amazon seriously, and I did both RA and OA. Because I came from books, I started more just 100% RA, and I only did Canada to Canada. So in 2020, it was only Canada to Canada, and the only RA I did was like toys, but I continued also doing books, which is kind of like RA, I guess, too, in a way. And then at the end of 2020, I was getting more comfortable with OA because I was just still learning it with my previous coach. So then I learned those skills. And then in 2021, after they cracked down on toys in Canada at the end of 2020, they just sent safety compliances to everything. Then I'm like, well, I was doing 50K a month selling toys, and now I can't sell anything. So I have to change. So I decided that then I would learn how to sell in other categories in the US. And obviously, if you're going to be selling in the US, unless you're going to move there, you have to do OA. So I would say in 2021 is when I started selling in the US, as well as doing more OA, and I barely do RA anymore.
Okay. And speaking of coach, you did mention that also part of Gina's question. Have you always had a one-on-one coach, and how has that contributed to your success?
Yeah, I would say coaching was pretty important for me. So 2019, I went on it on my own. I bought like a book selling course. So it's still kind of coaching in a way, like it's like a self-guided course. So that helped me a lot. Then when I wanted to get to my next level, I hired a coach for about a year. So 2020, I had a coach. Then 2021, I went on my own. And then last fall, I hired a new coach, and I still have him. So I kind of do like a year coaching, year off. I think you feel it when you need it. Like you need a coach to get to basically good. Then you can get to yourself to intermediate on your own. And then if you want to get to advanced, I think it helps to have a coach again.
To having a coach, yeah, just help you. Thank you for that. This is a question for Vicky and Tony from Gina as well. With you living in 2 countries, how did you build your business and designate tasks for each partner? And at what point did you bring VAs into your business? I think you answered that a little bit. Did you train them from scratch, or were they somewhat skilled already? Can you share some of your training tips for VAs with us? That will be the main questions that I'm going to ask. I guess first, how did you designate tasks and divide it between each other? Did you train your VAs from scratch, or they somewhat trained already?
For the first 6 months, there's not much like separated tasks. we do it all together. So I and Vicky, both of us do sourcing, do purchasing, and only the prepping is on Vicky because I cannot prep from Vietnam, right? But as we grow up, we divide the task more. I focus more on the operation part, and I will train the sourcing team and on the purchasing team. Because the two team are the like revenue generator of the business, and we do it all in Vietnam. I train all the VAs by myself. I use my skill to train them, and the staff in Vietnam is just like Philippine VAs, and also I can talk with them in Vietnamese, so they understand the requirement as well as the skill needed very good, and it helps a lot. Not sure it's answer all the question.
Yeah, so you train them yourself, the VAs, and then at the beginning, both you and Vicky did it all at once, and then around 6 months, you then started dividing tasks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Vicky, did you want to?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm more on the operation side, and Vicky more on the finance and legal things.
Operations and legal is Vicky.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to that, Vicky?
So your question is like how we can divide the task
Yes.
between us, right?
Yeah. How did you designate tasks for each other? How did you decide? How did you decide who's doing operations, who's doing finance, and?
Yeah, because he is better in like learning new things, new technique, and networking. And because in Vietnam we have a lot of big Vietnamese seller, and they're very good in technique and in scaling up their business. So Tony, he has more advantages for me to like open to widen his relationship. And so at first when we start and we keep sourcing together, like I'm the one who in charge of prepping and and prep and pack and prep everything. When we keep growing up and we decided to use a prep center, and I was focusing on purchasing and taking care of the admin tasks, like working with rep center and do some accounting tasks, and we keep doing that.
Okay, so you're basing it off on
actually mostly we can train our VA do mostly everything, so we can both focusing on learning new things.
Okay, sounds like sounds like you both are training your VA directly yourselves. You're training them, and while
so we have two people who will source for us, and one lady who in charge of purchasing, and two sourcing people, like two sourcing guy, they in charge of sourcing and look for the new supplier and contact the supplier, fill in some application, and one people in admin team, like he in charge of working with rep center, taking care of everything related to rep center, and he do some accounting tasks, which I learned from like some YouTube, like video from QuickBook YouTube, and then I trained for him. So
wow, self-taught, really. Okay.
Oh, I have a question for Vicky. Sorry, Marcel,
go ahead,
because I think they also want to know. So with you, Tony, because you said the VAs are in Vietnam, right? So 4 of them. Do you have an office, or they also all work like on their own houses?
Yeah, they work for their own.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all remote workers.
But that's full-time as well, right? Like they work 8 hours a day.
Yeah, about that, because I have flexible hours, they can register flexible thing. Flexible. Yeah.
And how do you train them? Yeah, do you just need to meet like every single week? Like you need to meet them every day, or do you need to meet them every single week to do
we
meetings?
build a training procedure for each department, like sourcing need. Like normally, I train sourcing people just need about 1 month. They can find a nice scene, like a nice scene per hour. So about 1 month training. And for purchasing, we have documented our requirement for purchase, like how we restock, how many for each scene, all documented, and as well as the admin part by Vicky, we all put it in procedure. So I would say that the SOP, the standard of procedure, is very important when you grow in the business. It helps you to train everyone. The standard procedure need to be write down step by step, so that a person without any skill can learn that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, having a standard procedure at that point is very important. It's a very key process. All right. Right now it's 11:16 a.m. now, and I know we said we're going to have it to 10 till 11:30. So if we have a few more minutes, we're going to keep asking for those speakers who has a hard stop, and for those attendees who has a hard stop can. Otherwise, some of you, some of the speakers can stay if you're available. That would be great. Question here from the chat on our Zoom from Coretta and Stephen. What would you say is your top selling Amazon category, first in the US and second in Canada? Just spitfire quick answer. David first.
Yeah, I would say it's probably books and tools.
Books and tools in both
Wow.
Canada and US.
Canada is starting to be grocery on imports, US export tools and export books.
Okay, thank you for that. How about you, Vicky, on yours?
Our main category is grocery in both market, and a part of beauty in both market.
Beauty and grocery in both market. Okay.
Yes,
Lacey
yes.
and Chris.
Very similar. We're still very heavy in grocery in both markets. We're trying to ease off of that and get into other categories, but it's still grocery.
Okay, primary grocery. And you, Cheryl?
For me, home and kitchen, and also grocery. So those are my top two categories that I focus on.
Thank you for
But
that.
I sell everything.
All right. A question from Gina to David, also maybe the same question from Chai or Justin earlier. What do you, let's see, how do you navigate the limits in OA buying? There's a limit to the capacity, how much quantity you could buy. How do you work on that? How do you work around that?
Yeah, that's for me, the question?
It's a question for you.
Yeah, so I think 2 or 3 parts. So part 1 is I don't normally go too deep on stuff. So I buy a lot. So I go really wide. So I don't really care. I'm usually allowed to buy at least 6 from everywhere. So 6 is enough for me. And you can probably realistically order from the same person twice a week, maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I don't do the whole, like, there's people who do it, like they have multiple accounts and all that. I never subscribe to that way of doing business, but you can do that too if you want. You can have multiple accounts. The best way is the answer I gave to Cheryl in the interview, is that when you know a store, you just get to know the manager and just talk to the manager. I've done it at Jean Coutu or any like Shoppers Drug Marts, anything. You just go to the manager and ask them, can I buy 100 of this? And they can go into their system and they can see, oh, I have 5,000 available. I can give you 100, and they'll usually give you a better price. And they'll let you keep the, you can time it with a sale that has 20x points or whatever. So I remember I did a purchase one time for 50 units, plus I got the 20x bonus on air miles, plus I got the credit card points, plus I got a discount on the price, plus I got to know the manager. So that is the best way, I would say, to do it.
Yeah, like quadruple whammy. Yeah, like you really hit it all. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so question now for Lacey and Chris. What changes are you implementing now? What changes are you implementing now that now that Lacey is full-time in the business and allowing you to scale to new heights?
Yeah, so funny enough, I was just talking to Cheryl about that before this call, and I think nothing's changed. I'm still working on my business. I think everyone knows at this point I was very involved in the business, and while we were able to maintain our business just working part-time hours this year, of course now I'm full-time. So there is that expectation to grow the business. But at the same time, I'm lucky to be in a position where I don't have extreme pressure because Chris is still working in his full-time job, right? It would be a different story if we both quit our jobs and it's like, hey, like, this is how we're going to feed our kids now, right? So I'm very lucky to be in that position. And I think for us, we want to do exactly what Vicky and Tony are doing, which is outsource more. I think we're at that stage where we can afford to do that. So we're looking at possibly sending majority of our shipments to our prep center now. So it's less time on our part and I can focus on doing what I do best, which is sourcing, right? That's the revenue generating activity in our business. And that's really where my time should be spent right now. On top of the VAs also sourcing for us, right? So once we have that, I think it's really going to help accelerate our business. And then also looking at perhaps bringing on a new full-time VA in the new year as well.
Okay, thanks for that. A question from Nicole. I guess this is for everyone. What categories did you try to sell in that you did not end up liking or did not have success selling in? What category did you sell that you did not like or did not have success in? Will you be willing to share that? And let's start with Cheryl.
For me, what I can think of right now I don't do toys. So same
Toys.
as David,
No, yeah.
I got burned with that during the 2021, right? Like there's suddenly like influx of like certification and stuff. I to be honest, you still have some toys here that I'm letting go through garage sale now, like the online sale with Facebook. Because of that, like it didn't work out for me. So before I used to buy so much of that, like 2 carts within a day that people would look at us. Like I remember in Costco, like we got this like, toys that we have 2 carts and everybody's looking at, oh, someone's gonna be a Santa Claus this year, right? Like, and we were so, they think we're so loaded, but it's actually all for
You're
sources, right?
unloaded. You unloaded.
Yeah. Like so but then after that, like it just like went boom, like nothing. So up to now, I'm still scared to go into toys. Like this Christmas, I might sell like a little bit, but I don't go deep anymore because I don't like the surprises. So for me, I'm always conservative with business. Like inch deep, mile wide is the way to go for me because of that. Like I don't like that risk.
Okay, Tony.
I also avoid toys because
avoid toys.
the requirement by Amazon. But beside category, one of the products we don't do this year is a seasonal product because I find you have to ship and to sell very quick to get the good margin, and you have to find a very good time to sell the product. So we don't do that anymore. We come for more like a long season, like a winter or summer product rather than like Halloween or Christmas one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. How about you, Lacey and Chris?
Yeah, I think for us, it's probably electronics. Like we've dabbled in that a little bit and we didn't like the return situation. So we've moved away from that. And then the other thing is just, it's more of a subcategory, but like home appliances. So like in the past, like we tested like bread makers and they're huge, right? So I know David likes those things, but for us, it just, at the time when we were prepping at home, it just took up a lot of space and they were heavy for me. So we've since moved away from that.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times too, we couldn't find, the right, box to,
the box situation.
Ship these large home appliances as well. So we kind of, stayed away from those type of products.
Okay. And you, David?
Yeah, I think every category can be really good or really challenging depending on where you're at. Like I've never got into apparel. Some people like and swear by it. A lot of people told me to avoid it because you can get 30% return rates on some things and it can just absolutely destroy you. So I definitely don't do apparel. Grocery, my challenge with sometimes is to get the 3 months, like sometimes I buy from Amazon in the US to sell in Canada, and sometimes they actually send me stuff that's so tight on the expiration date that like I can't actually resell it. So I'm just learning about that now. So that's something to be wary of with that. Me personally, the ones that are a bit challenging is the beauty products. Sometimes you have the remote fulfillment enabled. So like you can sell in the US, but someone in Canada can buy it if they pay the import duties. The only challenge with that is sometimes there's a stupid ingredient that you can sell in the US, but you can't sell in Canada. And then you can get like an IP, like not an IP, but you can get like a health performance check. You get too many of those that can affect your health score. For me, the one though that's the most relevant is the high ticket items. I still sell them, but it's a bit more wary. You have to have a bit of a stomach for it because you will have people returning items that are like, $1,000. So those ones you got to be like, you really have to be on top of it. I still think it's a good category, but you have to be okay with opening cases, and you have to be okay seeing that notification that customer has returned, a refund of $1,000. So
Kind of hurts a
depending,
little bit.
yeah, I think every category is okay and bad, but you just have to be okay with what's okay for you. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we have 4 minutes till 11:30. Are we extending for another 15 minutes, Cheryl? Is that something we want to do?
Yeah, is that okay with you guys? David, Tony, and Vicky, extra 15 minutes?
15 minutes? All right.
Okay.
Okay, if that's okay, we can get going. Question for everyone. Do any of you use a repricer? And if yes, how has this tool contributed to the success of your business and why? So have you used repricer? And if so, has it helped with the success of your business? And why do you think it helped? So let's start with Lacey and Chris.
Want to take this one?
Yeah, for a repricer for us, definitely. I mean, if we could have started with the repricer a lot sooner, I think, things would have taken off, a lot more. For us, we didn't get a repricer until probably well over 100 SKUs. And, at that time, we all know you have to be in the buy box to get sales, right? So every day, during time, we'll be, on our Seller Central app, trying to match the buy box or vice versa. But for a beginner, I would say at 50 SKUs, right? Just managing all your SKUs then is already a big task on its own. So for us, if we were to start all over again, I would say at that 50 SKU mark, I would start looking at getting a repricer.
Okay. All right. Vicky?
Right now we're using Biku. Actually, we try several like repricer app like Aura and Biku, and I think one more, but I forget the name. But mostly Tony, he take care of us. So he
So what do you think,
answer
Tony? Has
that
it
question
contributed?
better.
Yeah, has it contributed to your success, Tony? And why you think?
Like Chris, I manually reprice when we have less than 100 SKU, but now we have over 1,000 SKU, so we must use repricer. I don't think repricer is an important part. If you don't understand it, that's why I try to manually reprice myself, especially in Q4. If you can understand how Amazon like give the buy box, you can earn a lot rather than reprice than a repricing tool. I remember one SKU I sell a toys I sell in the first year. I moved my price from 30 to 60, and I still sell in Q4. So a repricer cannot do that. A repricer can just help you to manage a big portfolio of SKU. So I recommend newbie to just do manual reprice until you find it very hard or find it very tired of doing that. Yeah.
Then start. How about you, David? Do you use a repricer? If so, you think it helps?
I mean, I probably should be using a repricer now. Everyone's told me that. I watched the
half
video.
a million with no repricer.
Yeah,
That's
no
incredible.
repricer. I mean, it's honestly, I should be using one. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I watched a video of a guy online, and he showed his difference in sales before repricing and then after, and I think he doubled his sales. Now, doubling sales doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be more profitable. He could be breaking even. So I think if you're not knowing what you're doing with the repricer, it can be like a gun, like very dangerous. So I think you have to know what you're doing. I'd be curious to see how I don't know, I have to do this research. I want to see how intelligent the repricers are and if they can match human intelligence or not. Because like when I look at repricing things, I really do take into account like demand and stock of people and whatnot. Because if I know somebody is lowballing it, I can wait and like Tony was saying, you can jack up the price and you can make some crazy sales in like very specific spots. So I still think there's a component where if your repricer is doing most of the work, you still have to do some manual, I think, tinkering here and there, because you can be missing out on like these crazy profit margins when you're the last person on the listing and no one can replenish it.
Mhm. Great. Cheryl?
At-
I'm sorry,
at
Tony, you
this
want to say
level,
something? Yeah.
At this level, I still manage about like 10% of the most good selling products. The price of those, yeah. So still manually check, yeah.
Yeah. So you still are manually involved with the good selling product. Cheryl?
Yeah, for me, I also didn't use a repricer for so long, like I think 2 years until I'm not sure anymore, but I remember I'm also having a hard time using repricer because I saw like a horror story about it. So I was so scared. So I've been as you know, right? Like Liz and Chris and Tony. So I teach them like do manual in the beginning, right? So if you don't have much, don't do repricer. You can manually do it. It's more daunting, like every day, like try to see the prices and everything. But after like maybe 50 or 100, whatever, like you will see at least also difference, right? Because now like you're constantly in the buy box, but as Tony and David said, like there's still like opportunity that you're missing. So actually, David, Be Cool have an AI repricer now that like there's so many that you can play around with, but it's so expensive, and for me it's not worth it. I think if you have a private label, then that's good to use, like to pay expensively for this, but for that I don't think so. Like I feel I went down, like they offered me when they interviewed me, but then after that I went back to just regular one because and I still do, like with us, we still do repricing every week. Like we go to Be Cool every single week at least to check it, make sure, because if not, if you're gonna let it take over, then it will just eat up a lot of like opportunity for you as well, right?
Okay. Thank you for that. To David from Kathy Futuro, how did you keep your full-time jobs and still manage to be successful with your Amazon business?
That's a good question. I've always worked kind of like pretty hard. I have crazy to-do lists, and I'm just very like, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit different than some people, but like I've always like worked like a lot and I don't mind. My idea of having fun is like I cut TV from my life and I cut a lot of like nonsense things. So when I do something, like I either really like it's because I really want to be there. You know what I mean? I don't do like average things. So say for example, like I used to go out like before having a business, I used to go out with like friends and go for a beer here and there, and I do it too much. And then I'm just like, can I just do that maybe once a week? And then instead, with all the Amazon points I'm making, let's just work 15 hours a week on my business. And then let's just go next week, like I'm doing, to Hawaii for 5 days and just really have fun. So when I have fun, I'm going to have fun. But when I'm here, I want to work. So I think just being really disciplined that way, that was the big difference for me. And that's probably where I'm different than probably most people.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Let's see. There's a question now on the live. Are you using a prep center in a tax-free state? Is that something that Canada has? Lazy and Chris, you want to answer that question?
We're still charged taxes on all of our prep center fees. It's a business expense, right? So we just give all that information to our accountant and she takes care of it. But yes, we are using a prep center. We have two. So one here in Ontario and then also another in another province. And, we're still exploring other options, but yeah, it's definitely something that's really helped us in our business and we wish we did it sooner.
Okay.
I think
Cheryl,
they're
yeah.
asking though, tax-free state. So I'm assuming that he's asking more on US side.
Oh, okay. So there's not, so I
are-
know that there's something in the US, but I'm not so sure if they have it in Canada.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
Canada,
so-
no, you don't have that.
No, so in Canada, it's all the same. I guess the only difference is that like the province rate, right? So some will charge you 13%, some will charge you, like if you do Alberta, it's cheaper because they charge less on taxes on that. But here in US, it depends. Some are like tax-free. So meaning like they don't, like for example, the reason why they ask this is because when you are purchasing, so for example, as a Canadian, right, we don't have business in the US. So when you buy, and you ship it to a tax-free state, you don't get charged for sales tax, meaning whatever it says there, $14, is going to be $14. But if you ship it to a non-tax-free state, then whatever is the, for example, 6% sales tax on that state, it will be charged 6%, everything that you buy. That's why for some people it's important. But for me, to be honest, I don't go for that, because you can always make it. It depends on how you calculate your profit, right? Your ROI. I think more importantly with Prep Center, always know that they can communicate with you. For me, communication is important. There's customer service, because you know, I don't like it. Like with me, I had so many experience trial with Prep Center. One of the things that disappoint me is when for example, I email and ask, so did it arrive or something, and they don't respond to me. I don't like that, because for me, I'm systematic. I want that within a week, I need to ship the certain amount. And if they're not even responding to me, how would you know, right? Then 1 week passed, money is gone already. So for me, that's more important than the tax-free. Like I need to find someone that's really, really good in communication and really, really good with packing, that there's nothing missing or there's nothing like leaking and stuff like those. So those are the ones who's willing to also work with you. Like, for example, if you say, okay, I want this to be packed like this, can you customize? They would say yes, then that's very important as well for Prep Center.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wants to answer that question? Otherwise, we still have a few more questions. I'm gonna go ask those. How accurate is seller board and profit calculation, or do you also use other services like QuickBooks? Yes or no, and just a quick answer. Lacey and Chris?
Yes, we use both. I would say it does the job. It's going to do like most of the heavy lifting for you in seller board. That's where you can get real-time information on your business to make buying decisions, right? So I can see what my sales were yesterday, what sold, do I need to rebuy those items that sold yesterday? So I'm getting quick information so that I can execute quickly in my business. So that is definitely a must-have in our business. In terms of true accounting, you need QuickBooks if you get to a certain level. For us, we got that as soon as we incorporated. It was recommended to us by our accountant, and that's where we pull all of our business reports to actually understand how healthy our business is, right? So we pull balance statements, cash flow statements, profit and loss statements, which is the most important. So every time we file our taxes, and we do this quarterly, every few months, I know exactly where I stand with my business, whether I'm making money, losing money, what my expenses are. Like all of that is accurate information from my accountant. So we take a look at that every few months, and I think that's really, really helped us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 8 minutes before 11:45. Let's see. For issues such as Amazon deleting listings or Amazon returning the items to you as a seller, how are you managing those? In what marketplace are you selling those aside from Facebook Marketplace? How are you managing the returns and how are you dealing with it? How about you? Let's start with Tony and Vicky.
We are reselling it on if the product is from Canada, we still reselling it to US.
US. Okay.
Yeah. Or if there's no option, we create the listing to sell. So we can do the bundle. Yeah.
Oh, you could do that. You have additional skill sets you could use. Okay. How about you, David? How do you deal with the returns?
Option one, I get it back. So it's either going to be switch marketplaces, like Tony said. So if you don't have Canada, maybe the US. Option 2 is either marketplace. Option 3 is eBay. Option 4 is liquidated. All those options are done by, I have a guy who does this for me. So
okay, someone focusing on it. Cheryl?
Yeah, so for me also, like, so I sell on marketplace, and same as David, different options that you can do, but I don't usually do eBay because that's a lot of work for me. But for me, I don't focus on a lot of big items that I don't, when it's returned, usually like I don't need to sell them. So I focus on those type of products.
Okay, thank you. Lacey and Chris?
Yeah, I think for us, we just try to keep the main thing. So we're in this business for Amazon selling, so we focus on that. We don't really give returns a lot of emphasis, but if they do come back, then yeah, we'll just try to flip it on Facebook Marketplace. But other than that, we will donate it or give it away to friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have 6 minutes. There is a question here, but I think I'm going to ask the question. The question was, what hurdles have you experienced or difficulties that you experienced that you almost quit Amazon selling? So that's the first question. And then this is my question. What made you decide, no, I'm not going to quit? So I think this is a good way to kind of end, what hurdles or challenges that you face that I'm going to give it up, but then you decided not to. What was the reasoning that you had in mind? So I'll give you like 15 seconds to think about that question. It's a quite loaded question. It could be very emotional sometimes, but maybe also ending up in a way of, what did you decide? Okay, now I'm not going to quit. Actually, this is the reason why I'm not going to quit. And, and that made you. So Tony has a smile in his face. He must be remembering something here. Let's start with you. And this is how we will end. Yeah, for everyone to answer, please.
Business to me is all about finance. If you cannot profit, just quit. If you can profit, just continue. That's simple things.
Very easy. If you can't profit, quit. But if you can profit, go on, continue.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Simple and sweet. Okay. David?
I don't think I've almost ever quit, but the most challenging time was 2021 with the triple whammy. It was COVID plus inventory restrictions it went from unlimited inventory to now you had to have an IPI score and no one knew what the hell was going on. To also so I couldn't send anything in. All my toys had to come back and I didn't know what I was doing anymore. So that would have been a good time to quit, because I went from 50K in toys in Canada to like I have 1,000 inventory and I'm only allowed to send in 0. I'm at negative 800 and I was only allowed to have 200. But what made me not quit is that it gives you an opportunity to do something else. So I took it as an opportunity to learn how to sell in different categories, to sell on .com and to adapt and overcome. So I think that sometimes you have to look at like a challenge as being, look at it as a door more than as a brick wall. And then it's going to be a lot better for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Vicky, did you want to answer that question?
Actually, I never think about like quitting our Amazon business, because actually as a mom of 2 kids here, I think the job is suitable for my schedule. Have to pick up, and sometimes I have to be off 1 or 2 days in their like holidays, sometime in their day off from school. And I think for me there's no reason. And otherwise I can see other seller, they scale up very nice. Yeah. Even some like the friend of Tony, like they earn 1 million for a year, their income, not revenue. Yeah.
Wow. So that is inspiring.
Actually, I have a chance to come back to Vietnam last 2 months, and I met to like million seller who earn, I think they earn million a year, not revenue, they are net profit. Yeah. And I have time to interview them, and they inspire me a lot. So there's no reason for me to quit.
Yeah, not even your thought. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
You get inspired from others who's done it well.
Yeah.
Lacey and Chris?
I think the same thing for us. Like we've never really thought about quitting. I think the hardest challenge for us is when we did our private label brand, when we were just shoving money into PPC ads and it was eating away at our profits. I think that was the hardest thing for us. So like at that point, it was kind of like, okay, we're putting in all this effort and work, but we're not profiting. We actually had a business loss that year, according to our accountant. So that's the hardest part, is doing all this work and then finding out at the end of the year after you file your taxes, like you didn't make any money. But again, for us, like it wasn't an option to quit. We never gave ourselves that option. It was more about how do we pivot and learn from this. So that's when, we're like, okay, we need to do this the right way, convince Cheryl to coach us. And, we moved to a different business model. But like Vicky said, like you have to understand why you came into this business and why you're doing it. And then for us, like the pros always outweigh the cons, right? So yes, returns and other things are annoying, but at the end of the day, like Tony said, if you're making money, that more than makes up for the returns, right? As long as you see a net profit, right, on, your quarterly or annual statements, then you're good to go.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, and just remember at the end of the day, why you're doing this business, right? We're all gonna have, our hurdles, ups and downs with, Amazon, good days, bad days, some days you're gonna, not really find any profitable products. Some days you find, dozens, right? Just remember on those days where, you're, in the trenches and things aren't going your way, why are you doing this this business? Is it for, financial freedom? Is it just, to make, X amount of money on the side so that, you can go on an extra vacation per year, whatever drives you through to continue doing this business, just don't, stay away from that focus. I think that will let you continue to work on your business and be successful.
Thank you so much for that. And saving the best for last. You have a minute, Cheryl.
Okay, so for me, I never also thought about quitting. I think once you've tasted the good life of having a business at home, like you don't want to do anything else. I don't want to be an employee anymore. So for me, like, it's not an option. I want to be able to provide for my family just by working on my own. So that's what I never in my mind it crossed. So the hard part for me is same as David. During the 2021 when COVID time, like they closed my account as well. Like not close the account, but basically we cannot send anything. So from like I have like 6,000 units in the warehouse, and they only want us to send a max of 2,500. So meaning I need to spend all those first, like I need to sell everything before I can even ship. So that time, like I'm thinking, okay, what can I do? Like now I cannot send anything. 2,500 is not enough to sustain the business, because there's no way that you can make the same amount of money your sales you're making. So what I did, I also pivot. That's when I also think, okay, maybe I'm gonna start selling in the US again. I didn't sell in the US in a while, but you know what? Like this is a chance for me to so for the time being that I'm not allowed to sell in Canada, I start selling in the US, and guess what? Like then it becomes really good again. So just like what David said, like whenever something is happening with you, don't think about it as like the end of the world, but think about it like that the universe is actually conspiring to open something for you, that where you are meant to be, right? Like no matter what in your life, when you are doing something, it's not like always think that the universe is doing what's best for you, no matter how bad the situation is, because it's just leading you to the right path for you at the moment. And that it always happens to me. Like every single opportunity I have is because something happened bad in the before that lead me to where I am now, right? Like as you can see, blessings is pouring constantly on my end, and I cannot thank God enough to be able to do this consistently, but it's happening. And the reason for that is because I always have a positive mind and a positive outlook, that when things are not working, I don't dwell on the negativity of that situation, but I always rise up and think, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to see? What opportunity is there that you're wanting me to see so that I can do better? And guess what? Because of that attitude, I am here, and I'm like, even my coaching business is so successful. It's because of that. And for those of you who are here, and I know, like, you know, starting a business is really hard, and you need to keep on pushing. But if you don't give up, like one thing that I learned, I shared with you guys the video I like yesterday, right? One of the best thing I learned there is that they saying, so the guy was being asked, hey, do you think like, what would you say about your business that failed? And he corrected him right away. And he said, I never had a failed business. I have that for me to learn. So that's one thing that you should do as well as a seller. This is just the beginning. Find more opportunity, not just Amazon. There will be opportunity because you're learning the skill. This skill will take you to so many places and so many opportunities outside Amazon. And that's one thing that you need to do. You need to find a way for you to be able to see that opportunity. That's a skill that you need to learn in order for you to be a successful entrepreneur.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why these hearts of winners are here. They are where they are because of what they said. Cheryl, thank you so much. Chris and Lacey, thank you so much. David, Tony, and Vicky, what a wonderful sharing that you've done. Thank you to everyone who has asked questions. This has been wonderful. People are saying thank you very much for your expertise and sharing. This will be on replay if you've missed it, but also Cheryl will be back next Thursday at 9:30 for the continuation of the mastermind. This has been a wonderful 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thanks everyone for being part of this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. So before we end, I would like to thank
host. You're such a nice
everybody.
host.
Vicky, Tony, David, Chris, and Lace, and especially you, Marichelle, for doing this. I know that you guys are busy, and it's so hard to ask these people who are making so much money and give us time to be interviewed and share your ideas and your secrets in your business. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I know that what you said today will really like inspire people and inspire these new sellers and hopefully give them insights on why they should continue doing Amazon, because you guys are all inspiration. I specifically chose you to be here because I'm inspired by you as well. So thank you so much, and continue to do really good in your business, and hopefully we can collaborate again someday and do something like to always help people, right? Like that's the most important part in being alive, is that we can help others and share what we have now, right? So thank you, everybody.